I've got the Cardinals.
Cardinals.
At 65. Who have the Cardinals taken? The two Oklahoma offensive players. We've got Kyler Murray, and we have Marquise Brown, his speed receiver. They can go a million different ways, but I'm going to go on the offensive line, or on the offensive side again, Caleb McGarry.
Yep.
Big offensive tackle, 6'8" offensive tackle out of Washington. Love his value right here. There's some rumors that he might sneak into the first round because, 100 players are going to sneak into the first round. But I like him as a developmental prospect here.
Yes, I mean, if he's sitting on the board there, top of the third round, that's an easy pick for them. Anything offensive line help would be the play there. It's, like I said earlier, it's going to be a lot of offense after their first pick.
Yep.
All right, I got the Steelers at 65, and they kind of hit their two biggest needs in the first two rounds. Devin Bush at linebacker, Keel Harry at wide receiver. So you can go a bunch of different ways here. So I'm going to add to that defensive line with the top player on our board at this point, LJ Collier, Texas A&M,
nice.
Has some versatility in terms of where he can play. Can line up 3-tech, 4-tech, 5-tech, outside of the offensive line, even play some edge. I just like his versatility and just add more talent to a pass rush that any pass rush could use more talent in the NFL at this point. Like I said, not a lot of needs on the Steelers after the first two picks.
Some teams draft quarterbacks every year. The Steelers feel like they need to draft edges every year because they're so valuable to that defense, and they're not great there yet. I got the 49ers at 67 overall. I sprinted my card in to go get Jamel Dean from Auburn, the big monstrous corner. I think he's a good fit for their scheme. They already added Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at corner, Nick Bosa at edge in this draft, so that defense is getting an overhaul in San Francisco, liking the way their draft is shaking up.
Yes, I think Jamel Dean is a press cover 3 type of corner, fits that scheme, so I can get on board with a pick like that. All right, I have the New York Jets on the clock here, and let's see who they went with their first couple picks. They went with Josh Allen. Haven't had a pick since. Josh Allen, number 3 overall, so they hit the edge need. So we're going to go, I think I want to go offensive line here. I think I want to continue to get offensive line help for Sam Darnold there. Could go tackle, could go interior. I'm going to end up going with Eric McCoy, the center out of Texas A&M. Has positional versatility. I think he can play center or guard. Jonathan Harrison is not stopping me from drafting Eric McCoy.
No, certainly not. Absolutely not. I'm ahead of you. I'm just getting my next picks in here.
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars, 69 overall. They've added a ton of speed to their offense, wide receiver and tight end the first two picks. They get Deontay Thompson, Alabama free safety, a guy that looked like a first rounder at times last year, has to shore up his tackling, but as far as pure free safety skills in that scheme, I think that's a potential steal for the Jags. Last year, they added his former teammate at Alabama, Ronnie Harrison, who's more of a strong safety. I think Deontay Thompson could play that free safety role in their cover 1, cover 3 scheme.
I dig it. All right, on to the Buccaneers, where they've added Jonah Williams, Montez Sweat with their first two picks, so they've gotten better around the line of scrimmage. I think I'm going to add some help, though, to their secondary here. This is where Marquise Blair comes off the board. Safety, speed, a little undersized, but he likes to lay the boom nonetheless. Add some athleticism.
Flies around the field.
Yeah.
So that gives me the Broncos at 71.
Because the Jets picked Sam Beal in the supplemental draft, so they're no third rounder for them.
Is that what happened here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Giants have their they've got their forfeited pick. I'm looking at the Broncos. They've grabbed linebacker Devin White, and then they got developmental QB Drew Lock in the second round. I think they're going to go offensive line as well. And I'm looking at the way our draft is falling, our board, and we're going to go. Did you take McCoy off the board? You got to take McCoy off the board here, please.
That's on me.
Did you do this properly?
That's on me.
Thanks. We're going to go Nate Davis, the guard out of Charlotte. Best stance in the entire draft. Gets really low. Broncos have had some guard issues over the last few years. Ronald Leary's solid, but they still have room for improvement there. I like Nate Davis there, adding a little bit of depth on that Broncos offensive line.
All right, I got the Bengals pick, and this one is an easy one at this point. 72 overall. Haven't addressed linebacker yet, as they took Dwayne Haskins, then Greg Little.
Nice.
Tavon Coney, Notre Dame linebacker, comes off the board, the next best linebacker on our draft board. Not overly athletic, but I don't think you have to run a 4.6 40 to still be solid in coverage at the NFL. He ran a 4.7 at his pro day. He is more than athletic enough and a complete linebacker, in my opinion. He comes off the board, 72.
All right, so Coney to the Bengals. That would be a great value pick for the Bengals and might be the way they want their draft to fall is to get that value linebacker more in the third. Patriots are up at 73. I've got a fascinating decision here because Daniel Jones, who has first-round grades for a lot of people in the NFL but has a third-round grade for us, he's on the board. And if we're talking about developmental quarterbacks, I like him as a developmental third-rounder. I like him there. I don't like him as a first-round pick. So this is the pick for the Patriots. I could have gone wide receiver, but I'm looking at the receiver board. There's a lot of depth there to circle back and get somebody. I'm taking Daniel Jones to the Patriots in the third-rounder, and so he could take over for Tom Brady in 8 years. There you go. Daniel Jones, that's his proper value.
Correct. He won't be there, but I think that's about where.
This is a value exercise, Mike.
All right, 74, Buffalo Bills. Haven't added receiving talent yet. Top receiver on our board, Riley Ridley, fits into what they're missing still, even after grabbing John Brown and Cole Beasley in free agency. Riley Ridley, bigger, better route runner to add to that receiving core, just more talent there. I mean, Robert Foster had a good rookie season, but I just think as much talent as you can add around offensively to Josh Allen, the better at this point.
Oh, absolutely. I like that quite a bit. And it's a different style receiver, right? You just have different styles for all those guys. That's very important. I have the Packers now at 75 overall. We'll recap quickly after this pick. The Packers have gone defense with Jerry Tillery. They took Isabella, the wide receiver, in the first round, and then Juan Thornhill at safety. Would you hate if we went defense again, Mike?
Nope.
For the Packers? Blake Cashman.
Boom.
The athletic linebacker, which I know is not a thing in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Athletic linebackers.
I mean, they run a lot of dime, but they do also the role they had, the guy they traded for the Colts, the Florida guy playing in last, Tony Morrison. My brain's not working today. Yeah, he's gone. They're just not.
There's so many names. There's so many draft names in our head right now. We've just ranked hundreds of players. So Blake Cashman, with his teeny arms and athletic linebacker skills, he can blitz a little bit and he can add something in coverage to the Packers. Let me just quick recap. Top of the third round, Arizona Cardinals take offensive tackle Caleb McGarry out of Washington. Steelers, edge, LJ Collier out of TCU. 49ers, cornerback Jamel Dean out of Auburn. Jets take Texas A&M center Eric McCoy. Jaguars take Alabama free safety Deontay Thompson. The Bucs at 70 overall take safety Marquise Blair out of Utah. The Broncos take Nate Davis, the guard. Bengals take linebacker Tavon Coney out of Notre Dame. Patriots take Duke quarterback Daniel Jones as their potential quarterback of the future. The Buffalo Bills take wide receiver Riley Ridley out of Georgia. And then the Packers take linebacker Blake Cashman out of Minnesota.
All right, 76, Washington Redskins. I said my strategy for them. Premium positions. Charles Omenihu comes off the board. Preston Smith, gone to Green Bay.
Okay.
Someone with length, someone who can play run, hopefully develop into the pass rusher there across from Ryan Kerrigan.
I like that. Yeah, that's continue to add to that defensive fronts there in Washington. They've started to make it a little bit better over the last couple of years. I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers now. I like this potential fit here, Mike. They've needed to get younger on the edge for 5 or 6 years now. And we have a guy that we like quite a bit in Max Crosby out of Eastern Washington that I think I just in the third round, I love that value. He's been very productive. He moves pretty well, got good size. And when you talk about third round value, Max Crosby makes a ton of sense for the Panthers.
Yes, produced extremely well there. At Eastern Michigan, I want to say.
Eastern Michigan, yep. In the gray field.
Poor man's Brian Burns. White man's Brian Burns. He's tested very similarly at a very similar size. But yeah, that's Max Crosby. I think we're a lot higher on him than most. He probably goes day 3, but he is a very good football player. All right, on to the Miami Dolphins, who have the 78th overall pick. They went Elgton Jenkins with their second rounder, Brian Burns with their first rounder. I can go a lot of different ways here. I think I want to take another shot at pass rush. I think this is where Ja'Kai Polite comes off the board.
There you go.
3 straight pass rushers. Ja'Kai Polite tested terribly. They already learned their lesson, the Miami Dolphins, with edge rushers that test terribly with Charles Harris. But Ja'Kai Polite played on the field faster than Charles Harris played on the field. The testing was an anomaly in pretty much everyone's mind. Charles Harris was not near the athlete that Ja'Kai Polite looked on tape. Maybe he can't play at 250 plus, but at 240, I think he'll at some point be, even if it's a DPR, I think that could be useful to replace. Tell Cam Wake to show him how to pass rush at 240.
Well, Cam's gone.
Oh, Cam's gone. Oh,
you have to replace Cam.
I know. You got to replace Cam then. That's on me.
Look, Mike, we were ranking hundreds and hundreds of prospects. I can't expect you to remember.
I know. My head is just all over the place right now.
It's all right. I'm impressed with all the draft work you've been doing. Falcons are at 79 now. And when I look at their cornerback position, I just think, again, like most teams, got to add more options. Isaiah Oliver, who I like, last year's second-round pick out of Colorado, is going to come in and step in and have a shot. But I don't know that he's the guy. Mm-hmm. So Sean Bunting is on the board. Central Michigan, very good athlete. A lot of people talking about him as a top 40 player. We have him as a third-round value, and I think it's a good fit for the Falcons, adding depth to the cornerback position, which is just needed for everybody in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. I can get on board with adding depth. The cornerback position. I have the Browns at 80, and we're going to add depth to the cornerback position as well here. One of my favorite players in this entire draft class. He might not be a pure outside corner. He might be a slot only, but he's my favorite slot only, and it's Jimmy Moreland, the James Madison.
Really?
18 picks in his college career. As physical of a 5'9" cornerback as I've ever seen at the college level, he would put 6'3", 6'2" receivers on the ground in press coverage, which you don't see. He had the most impressive -6 graded game I've ever seen in our grading because he had, I think, 6 penalties, but they were all pretty ticky-tacky. He could ball.
6 penalties.
Yeah. I mean, he's as physical as I've seen it. Like, he gets after it. He sticks his nose in it.
Trust the grade,
he's similar to, he actually graded well in other games. He was just all over the place with the penalties. Yeah. Very similar to Mike Hughes coming out of UCF a season ago.
Fantastic. So, yeah, that'd be a good fit for Cleveland. Speaking of Mike Hughes, he went to the Minnesota Vikings. They're at 81 right here. I'm looking at our wide receiver board and thinking I might go there. Kelvin Harmon's still on the board. Another guy with first-round hype that we're a little bit lower on, but again, value-wise in the third round. Kelvin Harmon. If you want a guy that can't separate that well to replace Laquan Treadwell, Harmon is better. I think he's an upgrade over Laquan Treadwell. He becomes the number 3 wide receiver right away. Could develop into a number 2, and I think value-wise at number 81, well worth the pick. NC State wide receiver.
He is very similar to Laquan Treadwell, though, except he's not Laquan Treadwell coming out. He's
right.
He's not.
There's a chance that he could be better.
Exactly.
Essentially, yeah.
All right, Titans on the clock at 82. Still have that right guard position in need of some help there. Signed Roger Saffold, but Kevin Pamphile not doing it for me necessarily at right guard. So I am going to get Connor McGovern, Penn State guard, talented player.
The Titans, yeah. So adding, they went from one of the best offensive lines to just having some big question marks on the offensive line. So nothing wrong with that. So I've got the Steelers at 83. You already grabbed N'Keal Harry. Mm-hmm. You got your speed, Devin Bush, speed linebacker, right? And did they have another pick in there? Top of this. Oh, yeah, they had LJ Collier at edge. Okay, so where do I go here if I'm the Steelers? Man, I know James Conner just did a nice job at running back. Mm-hmm. I'm tempted to get another running back, even though they proved that they're less valuable. It's not egregious getting these guys coming off the board right now. I'm going David Montgomery because I do think he can do something in the pass game for them. And he's been so used to playing behind a terrible offensive line. You're going to give him a good offensive line in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be a pretty good player. I like David Montgomery from Iowa State, and I like him in the 80 range. I don't think is that bad for a running back of his caliber. Forced 170 missed tackles over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. I can get, I think, like I said, there's just not a lot of holes after you address those. I mean, they could address corner, could address secondary still, but they've invested a lot in those positions in recent years via the draft. Hopefully those guys develop. David Montgomery, extremely elusive as we've seen in our system. All right, on to the Seahawks, and here's where I just add more offensive line help. The offensive line turned the corner a bit a season ago, but Mike Iupati, DJ Fluker at guard, very strong injury histories for both of them. So I'm going to add Trayvon Tate, the Memphis tackle, who projects to go inside at guard in the NFL there. One of my favorite players, one of my favorite tackle to guard transitions in this draft class.
So he graded well for us. Mm-hmm. In Memphis. You liked him just as a guard, or did you even give him a shot?
I think he's just a guard. He's just an inside guy.
All right, the Ravens are up. They've only got one pick so far. They went Cody Ford, the tackle/guard out of Oklahoma, in their first round. Got to see how the board is falling right now because our file's just all over the place.
Right.
Should they go tight end? They should definitely go tight end, right?
The 6th tight end is a valuable position on the Ravens roster.
So even though they're trying to build a run-first offense, they still need a ton of receiving weapons. You still have to win in the pass game. Miles Boykin from Notre Dame tore it up at the combine, and I think from a value standpoint works here in the third, even though he's getting hyped up a little bit higher, I think, as well. So Miles Boykin, I'm going for him there for Lamar Jackson in the pass game.
Yeah,
Let's do one more pick and we'll do a quick recap.
Okay, I got the Texans at 86. They went T.J. Hockenson in the first, Max Sharping in the second, and Hjalte Froholt in the second as well. So they hit offensive line, hit tight end. Now I'm going to hit the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to go Isaiah Johnson. A little bit of a developmental pick, the Houston cornerback, but he has all the traits necessary to become a high-level corner. Only played a couple years at cornerback, switched from wide receiver to corner. I just think if you can get him to put it all together, he could be the top cornerback in this class in a few years. You see some high-level plays from him on tape. Also see some very ugly plays from him on tape. But in the third round, that's where you take a guy like that.
That's a good spot for him, for sure. Let's see. So at 76, the Redskins took Charles Omenihu, edge out of Texas. 77, Panthers, edge Max Crosby out of Eastern Michigan. 78, the Dolphins took edge Ja'Kai Polite out of Florida. Falcons took cornerback Sean Bunting out of Central Michigan. Browns take Jimmy Moreland, corner out of James Madison. Vikings take Kelvin Harmon, wide receiver out of NC State. Titans take guard Connor McGovern. Steelers take running back David Montgomery. Seahawks take guard/tackle, mostly guard Trevon Tate out of Memphis. Ravens take wide receiver Miles Boykin from Notre Dame, and then the Texans just took cornerback Isaiah Johnson from Houston. Let's wrap up the rest of the third round. So we're at pick 87, and we have to get up to 102. I've got the Bears. This is their first pick, Mike, of the entire draft. So Bears fans, they're going to be angry no matter what.
We'll spend some time in this one then.
Who do we want? I'm looking at Miles Sanders a little bit at running back, but then I'm like, man, do I really want the only thing that I get out of this draft to be a running back in the third round? I really would have liked edge depth, but too many guys just came off the board there, and that pushed a ton of value down there. Do you have any suggestions here? I'm looking at the way this thing's fallen. As far as Yodny Kajust at tackle, I think is interesting, but it's not going to make that immediate impact. Not only is he banged up, but you've got Bobby Massey and Charles Leno in there. But I think when you're talking about that swing tackle potential and potential starter, I think
the Bears just don't have a need, so it's
right. So that's kind of where my head's at. Is there's not a major need here, and I think for long-term team building, I kind of like Yodny Kajust, and that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah,
West Virginia tackle.
Injured. Is the torn? Was it the quad torn?
Yeah, torn quad. But I think
that'll drop him down boards anyways.
Yeah,
and so value will be there in terms of he doesn't have to start for you right away. You brought Bobby Massey back, but Massey not a long-term solution at this point. So now maybe you have your long-term starter there.
There you go.
That's what
we're doing.
I got the Lions at 88. They went Greedy Williams, Deebo Samuel so far. Now I go a lot of different ways here. I think I want to add edge to this team, though. I think I want to add some athleticism. I'm going to go Ben Banogu, the TCU edge, probably he had the fastest 10 time of any edge in this class, sub 1.5. I mean, he's so explosive, and we've talked to him. He's just completely underfined as a pass rusher. Has some high-level reps on tape, but basically just doesn't know what he's doing yet. And I think he could get there at some point. He's the kind of guy you bet on with how freakishly athletic he is.
Yeah, that's good. Again, value-wise, when we're talking, we have a lot of guys that have third round type of grades that we feel pretty good here about at this point. I've got the Colts up next. They've grabbed J.J. Arcega-Whiteside at wide receiver, Justin Lane at corner, and then they circled back and grabbed Draymond Jones on the interior of the defensive line. I think this is where they double up at corner because Jawan Williams is there from Vanderbilt.
You love him. Big corners.
Huge corner. Again, when we talk scheme fits, him and Justin Lane are two of the best fits for what the Colts like to do in their zone-heavy scheme. They're already not great at corner there, and you just continue to get those guys in the pipeline, especially when you're talking about the 89th overall pick.
Yeah.
Love that for the Colts.
I can dig it. I got the Cowboys up next. They run a lot of cover 3, press 3 another safety to corner transition. Marvell Tell, USC.
You're making him a corner?
Making him a corner in
really?
that scheme. Yes, he has all the traits to be a cornerback in the NFL. For teams that run a lot of press cover 3, he is, in my opinion, a perfect fit for them. 6'2", 200 pounds, almost 33-inch arms, 6'6" cone. I mean, he has freakish 42.5-inch vertical. I mean, he has freakish athleticism. It shows up on tape. He's not physical. He's not a tackler, so I don't want him playing at safety.
That is something that they would do.
Yeah.
That is absolutely something that they would do. I've got the Chargers coming up now. They've grabbed Chuma Edoga at offensive tackle in the second round. First round was a Christian Wilkins on the interior of the D-line, so they've hit a couple key needs. Looking at the way the board is falling here, I'm kind of interested in Irv Smith at tight end as a complement to Hunter Henry. Adding another weapon, because I think Irv's more of an H-back type. He's a little bit undersized. It's a different style, and I think at this point in the draft, I think he's a good fit for a lot of teams. So I'm the Chargers. I don't think they're going in looking for a tight end, but I just think the way the board's falling, Irv Smith, Alabama, 6'2" tight end, reminds me a little bit of Lance Kendricks, but a little bit more athletic.
All right, I got the Chiefs here. They drafted Darnell Savage in the first, Rock Ya-Sin and Ronheen Bingham in the second, and the defensive run continues. Athleticism at linebacker. They add Drew Tranquil, the Notre Dame linebacker, a fantastic athlete in his own right. Anthony Hitchens signing has not worked out. Reggie Ragland, opposite end of the spectrum athletically. He's not anything. You're not going to add anything to your coverage. Drew Tranquil can.
That's a good one. Another good spot for him because I was considering linebacker for the Chiefs the last time around. I'm now looking at the Jets, who have taken Josh Allen at edge and then Eric McCoy, future starting center. The one position I think they need to address, though, is corner. And they already addressed edge, which has been a 15-year need. But Tim Harris, big-bodied Virginia corner. You put a third-round grade on him. He's the last third-round grade that we have on our board for corners. And I think this is where the Jets just need to start taking some shots on the cornerback position. I think it's an important spot for them to upgrade.
All right, Rams on the clock. They drafted Chase Winovich, got that pass rusher in the first round. Go a number of different ways here. I'm going to give them a nose tackle, though. I'm going to give them Greg Gaines.
Really?
He replaces Ndamukong Suh there along that defensive front.
Oof.
Not near the disruptor Ndamukong Suh is as a pass rusher, but he can disrupt against the run. He can add something to their run defense. Third round's about where you start adding run defenders, and I think he can do enough as a pass rusher to warrant said pick.
So I think what you just said, third rounders where you're like, all right, run first only players.
That's fine.
They're perfectly fine there. So now the Giants at 95, they've gone all offense. They went Jawan Taylor, then Jeffrey Simmons, interior D lineman, and then they got Will Grier, their developmental quarterback. Now it's got to be pretty much all defense, right? I mean, I think the way the board's fallen, there's defensive players all over the place. I might go back to corner here as well, and I'm going to go Xavier Crawford.
Okay.
The other Central Michigan cornerback.
Very good.
Former Oregon State player, pretty good size. And again, as we're creeping into the fourth round here, that's where his proper
between
value is.
Him and Sean Bunting, who went earlier for us, allowed fewer than 30 catches all season long.
Fantastic. That's Central Michigan cornerback.
Pretty absurd. Hero. All right, 96. I got the Redskins. We're continuing the theme of players, value, positions. Emmanuel Hall, the most explosive wide receiver in this class. I mean, he just, from his testing off the charts, he just explodes from a standstill. Ball skills leave a lot to be desired, but if you could just teach him to catch a little better, you got a player with how freakishly athletic he is.
This is a good spot for him. Absolutely a good spot. The Patriots are now on the board. They just went Daniel Jones with their developmental quarterback the last time around. They've got Dexter Lawrence, the interior D lineman from Clemson. Who else have we gotten so far? The Patriots have had a ton of picks. We've had Jay Sternberger, the tight end. Haven't taken a wide receiver yet, right? I was looking at him last time around. So at receiver, they're going to get Paris Campbell. Straight speed guy. He needs to develop. We don't know if he can do true outside wide receiver things, but he also feels like that chess piece that the Patriots would be able to take advantage of with his athleticism at 97 overall. Ohio State.
All right, I have the Jaguars here, 98 overall. I know they re-signed A.J. Cann, but I'm going to give them some interior offensive line help. They're getting Michael Dieter, the Wisconsin offensive lineman. Can play guard, can play center, can play pretty much anywhere on the offensive line and did at Wisconsin.
That's a good spot for him. Mm-hmm. All right, so the Rams now. I don't want to do this. The Rams at 99. The last quarterback that's worth a top 4-round pick that's on our board is Ryan Finley from NC State. I know they just brought in Blake Bortles. They're certainly not tied to him long-term at all. I think Ryan Finley is a perfect fit for that scheme. He is fantastic coming out of the boot action and all the stuff that they like to do. This is one of those spots where I think you forget about your other team needs and you get a value quarterback play like Ryan Finley here out of NC State. So I'm doing it. Rams are taking Ryan Finley as their future backup.
All right. Panthers on the clock here. They've grabbed Max Crosby.
3 picks left.
Edge. They grabbed Amani Hooker at safety, and they did have Dalton Reisner along the offensive line. So they can go a number of different ways here. I'm just going to add more beef, though, to that defensive line. Here's where Kingsley Keke comes off. Highest grade in the one-on-ones of anyone at the Senior Bowl. Not really talked about. He played kind of out of position at Texas A&M on the edge there. Is more of an interior guy. Great, just going to be a third down guy right away for them in terms of what he brings to the table. But I think in that role as the third down interior rusher, he can be successful.
Good postseason look for him as well, Keke. All right, so we've got 2 picks left. Patriots at 101. I'm going to double down because they need playmakers. I'm doubling down on tight ends. They got Jay Sternberger from Texas A&M. They're now adding Caleb Wilson out of UCLA. The Patriots do like to double up on positions of need, see what sticks. And tight end is a position of need. So Caleb Wilson, more of a straight line speed type of guy, has to round out some of the other parts of his game, though.
I can dig it.
Last pick of the third round.
Last pick of the third round. Ravens, they got Miles Boykin earlier in the third round. Didn't have a second rounder. Cody Ford in the first round. So 2 offense. We're going to address the pass rush, though, after they lost 2 guys this offseason, Terrell Suggs and the guy whose name's alluding me to Zadarius Smith to the Packers, and I should really know that. O'Shane Zaminis, Ravens,
I like that a lot.
Comes off the board here. Old Dominion, one of the most productive guys in our grading system over the past handful of years. Produced 3 straight years there at Old Dominion. Didn't test great, little undersized, but he's going to develop anywhere. The Ravens haven't necessarily put too much value on athleticism translating. Zadarius Smith was not a great athlete in his own right. Terrell Suggs obviously had the bad testing that dropped him back when they took him. I think he fits.
No, at 102, I think that's absolutely worth the spot. So, I mean, that's kind of the theme of this whole thing. Guys where we like them, where they're fitting right now, and that's the draft. That'll do it. That's our third round.